You've been a significant figure in media, both sides of the Atlantic, for absolutely decades. What was the motivation for Dying Days, your latest novel?
Well, I did a memoir a few years ago and enjoyed that. I wanted to do a novel. I wanted to try fiction. And I thought, well, what should my subject be? And having done 50 years of research into the media business and newspapers, I thought, well, I'll make it about newspapers. That'll be and newspapers cross every emotion, every feeling. But I also then needed a theme. And my theme ended up being the changing, two things that are changing about modern media. A, newspapers, where I spent most of my career, not all of it, are fading. And that's part of why the book is called Dying Days.
Yeah.
And also it's called Dying Days because of the high mortality rate of some of the principal characters. And the principal characters are inclined to be very senior in media. And that translated into the next theme of the book, which is that the state of media now, the distrust of media, the inability because of such a blizzard of social media, crazy lunatic lies. No one really knows what to believe in. It's like a fog. And I think when that fog happens, people can be misled easily by people with malign interests. And this book imagines the catastrophic consequences of that.
Sure does. It's an absolute page turner. Which characters do you associate with most?
Well, if you mean, do I feel like I'm similar to, then I would say none, except that the main character, Don Brazier, who's a very sort of temperamental and brave foreign correspondent, war correspondent. He probably was like my alter ego, because I really did dream when I was a kid of being a war correspondent. I experienced a little bit of war. I thought, this isn't for me. So basically, I think I created in him aspects of him, things I felt about what I'd like to have been myself.
Hinton, I just wanted to stop in front of this sculpture, statue, which caught my eye about women's rights pioneers. And in the book, Dying Days, you've got some very strong female characters.
I think some of the strongest characters are female. There's the woman who inherits a huge multinational media company, and does a great job of it. There is one of Dan Brazier, the central character's best friends, oldest friends, who's a very senior FBI agent. And then there's a young cub reporter, slightly naive, overeager, but she grows in the book to a quite surprising conclusion.
We saw, when you were in the UK, I think you were still in the UK, you may have just come to this side of the pond, we saw the shop closure of the News of the World. That's mirrored in Dying Days with the New York World, which is closed down. Now, it does later return online, I think I'm right in saying.
Yes.
Could that happen, do you think, with the News of the World?
What, a return?
Yeah. Online?
Well, I think probably not. I mean, when the News of the World was closed in 2011, and I think very soon at the highest level, he truly regretted having done it. And there was some discussion.
That's the breaking news for us right there. Go on.
But I think, frankly, everyone at News Corp was so shattered by what had happened that it never came to pass. But the other important thing about that is that kind of newspaper, that vigorous, facialist, if you like, kind of newspaper, is actually disappearing. All those papers, whether it's the Sun, whether it's the Star, whether it's the Express, or any of those papers, they're all, in fact, their circulations have gradually descended.
What is the future of newsprint as opposed to online newspaper?
Well, I think the future of news on paper is limited. I couldn't predict a time, but newspapers, as they probably might still be called, the great serious, by serious I mean those that cover in detail heavy news, politics, economics, business, those newspapers here in New York, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, which I was in charge of for a long time, the Times in London, the Sunday Times, those kinds of papers, I think, will survive online. And we may still call them newspapers, even though they're not, just as we still say cut and paste online or CC online. These words have taken a whole new meaning.
It's full of media moguls. Some of them are more sympathetic than others, shall we say?
You could say that. Yes.
How true to life are they?
Well, I think that they represent a truth together. I mean, I spent lots of time over the years with media moguls in Hollywood, in television, and in print, and they were a mixed bag. Some of them were really dreadful people, and some of them were really fun to be with. There is one person in this book that is clear to anyone who knows about media, and it is a chap called Robert Maxwell.
Oh, yeah.
Who died a long time ago, but was a true vulgar villain. And I needed a true vulgar villain to be among the media moguls, because generally they're not like that. And so I enjoyed painting this picture. And the others, I mean, they vary. So there's bits of whispers of all kinds of people in it, and I leave it to other people reading the book to spot the little realities among what is broadly fiction. But there are a few people I know that will look at it and say, oh, that's so-and-so, or that's so-and-so.
Fantastic. Look forward to it. We should explain that even if people don't know Robert Maxwell, they'll know his daughter, Elaine, who is presently in jail here.
Yes, Ghislaine became even more notorious than her dad, obviously, because of her involvement with Jeffrey Epstein.
Let's talk about a scene in the book where the acting editor of one of your newspapers goes to visit the Prime Minister.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
Well, it was a moment where journalism and its power met government and its power, and the Prime Minister hated the newspaper, the Daily Courant, and the editor of the Daily Courant hated the Prime Minister. So they come at that moment to meet, and during that period, the Prime Minister exercises really severe power over the newspaper. Like he'd been waiting all this time. This is a point where the newspaper was at its weakest, and the Prime Minister ruthlessly took advantage of that.
Has that ever happened?
There have been moments when newspapers have suffered terribly at the hands of Prime Ministers and presidents who thought that they were abused by newspapers.
What do you think the future is, or what's your view, I should say, of citizen journalism? I mean, we have some people in the UK, which I know better than here, call themselves journalists, and they're nothing more than right-wing thugs.
Well, they can be right-wing and they can be left-wing.
They can.
But I think the broader answer to that question is that because of social media, because of the means of communication, essentially everybody with a 5-ounce device in their hands has got available an infinite amount of information and entertainment, but also the ability to tell as many people who listen whatever they want. There's no bars. They say tell lies, and make up things, they insult each other. And I think it's a great thing in many ways. It's helped revolution succeed, but it's also become the vessel of massive amounts of deception, which has made media a very dangerous place.
How do people watching this, listening to this, know what the truth is?
Well, that is exactly the point. If you listen to enough of it, and you're told enough of the times that something is true or isn't true, repeated lies in the end confuse people so much. I mean, we're both journalists, we're news, we know how to sort fiction from fact, we think, but a lot of other people are seeing this stuff and they don't know what's going on. And part of the book, Dying Days, plays a part in this. There's a strain of the deception that really powerful, charismatic liars can impress upon people the wrong things, and
we see that every day.
Yes, and that was part of the idea of the book, was that nobody trusts media in the way they did. There's a huge amount of lies being told, and I was trying to put together in Dying Days the sort of catastrophic consequences of this kind of world where people hate the media, mistrust the media, and try to punish it.
Les Hinton,
Yes.
you have great respect from novelists, including Jeffrey Archer, Michael Dobson, William Shawcross, who've all offered praise. If I can indulge our listeners and viewers for a second, an original story told with frightening conviction by a damn good writer. That was Jeffrey Archer.
That's me, yes.
A breathtaking novel, Michael Dobbs, author of House of Cards. And twists and turns through a maze of love, hate, and sacrifice, William Shawcross.
Yes. And they were very kind in their words. And the interesting thing is when you write a novel, which I'd not done before, the first thing the publishers and all the people helping you promote it, who can you get to endorse it?
Yes, indeed.
And I thought, well, and I sort of, off the top of my head, I thought, well, who are the people I really have been really successful and are really admirable in what they've done? And Jeffrey Archer, of course, is famous as Michael Dobbs wrote House of Cards, that brilliant TV series. William Shawcross has written some magnificent non-fiction going back 30 years. And I managed to persuade each of them, with the help of other friends, to read the manuscript, and kept my fingers crossed that they were what they were going to say, and they all came back with the words you've read. So it was great to have them do that. I'm very pleased to be able to put them on the cover.
What's the next project?
Well, there are two things. Clearly, if Dan Brazier and his crew are successful, the main character in Dying Days are of interest to people, I have a couple of ideas how we might write further stories involving him and them. I've also written a good chunk of another book. It's based around newspapers, because newspapers are the crossroads of everything in my experience. And that's got a kind of supernatural twist to it. So I can't really inject Dan and his crew into that.
Okay. Well, book's out soon.
Yes.
Good luck.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks a lot.